And welcome to episode 3 of the brand new re-release 2020 Kyosho Fantom, and welcome to the build from RC Empire. And what an episode we have here for you today. Quickly, in the last episode you saw us put together this brilliant little model, super simply, super quick, and it was an absolute joy to do so. This was by far my all-time favourite build. The materials were nice, the machining was lovely, everything fitted together and dropped into place perfectly, the surfaces and interfaces were flush and level with each other, and there really weren't that many mechanisms or components to put together, which meant we were done in record time in a couple of hours. So a really nice kit build for any skill level, and we'll be taking a detailed look at the whole model and talking over some of the caution and key points of the build, as well as taking a look at the chain in detail and showing you how to fit that in the next episode, because for now it's just on there for show. So do watch out for that, because there'll be quite a few key little tips and tricks. But enough talking, let's get into it. And the first thing we're going to do is fit this lovely little Savox steering servo. Now, one thing you should absolutely note is that this kit needs a mini servo, and you can see the exact dimensions you need in the last episode on the first page of the manual, so do make sure you get the correct one. But here is our mini servo that we've chosen, the Savox SV1250MG. And honestly, I've been using Savox for years now and never had a single issue with any of them. They're a pretty good bet to go with, plus they're fairly easy to get a hold of and find. Now inside the box it's pretty standard. You've got your all important stickers, you've got your standard hardware and your servo horns. Now actually we won't need any of these servo horns because the Fantom comes with the exact one that you'll need. In fact, the Fantom kit comes with two, which is nice, a 25 tooth one and a 26 tooth one, and the one that you use depends on the servo type you've got and the number of teeth on the servo. So normally you'll be using a 25 tooth one, which is what we've got with the Savox servos, the Futaba servos, and even the Kyosho servos that you get on the ready sets. And quickly, here's the original servo that we were going to put in it, and this is a heck of a servo. It's a shame that this doesn't fit because it is great, but we will be putting this in a very special buggy very soon instead, so do watch out for that. But you can just see the size differences there, and actually this Orion servo is a low profile one, and you can actually see that it's still lower than the Savox one, but it's much wider and much thicker. And here is a standard size servo too. Now, before we plug the servo into anything or do anything electronical, we need to mount the servo onto the car. And you may remember that in the last episode we had 4 screws left that were specifically to mount the servo onto the mounts, and those screwed onto the top plate of the chassis. So before we fit the servo, we need to center it. Now the chances are that the servo is already centered from out the box, but you should always check. So we're quickly going to plug it into a receiver and power system and make sure the trim on the transmitter is set to 0. And then power it up, and that's it. The servo should come to center. Actually, you can get a little tool that can do this. It's a little Servo Tester, and they're really not that expensive at all, but we've never needed one. And here are the Servo Mounts. Even these are shiny and look good. But there's only one way these can go, so you've got the screw on the top to mount it to the top plate, and the 2 screws on the side which will hold the servo in place. So get your 4 screws and screw those in, and you can use some Loctite on those. And once the servo is on the mounts, just screw it onto the top plate of the chassis. Now, if you've got your electronics all ready to fit, you're better off fitting the ESC first, then the receiver, and then the servo and the motor, because then at least you can plug your battery into the receiver and then plug your servo into that to set it up. Unlike what we're doing, which is using the electronic system on another model. We're kind of doing it backwards here. But once your servo is centered, pop your steering arm onto the steering linkages and mechanisms as specified in the manual, make sure your wheels are straight so that the centered servo will match the straight wheels. That will mean zero steering on the transmitter will equal straight wheels. And then put your servo horn onto the servo and screw it on using the supplied screw that came with the servo. And that's it. Your servo is fitted and done. It's as simple as that. And what's great is that the servo is really easy to access on this model. And that is pretty much it for this episode. I think we'll leave it here, and in the next episode we'll be taking a look at the ESC fitting and the fitting of our receiver before we move on to the motor. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this video and getting an idea of just one of the servos that you can fit to the Kyosho Fantom 12th scale racer. Please do subscribe for more content, and do check out the RC Empire website at www.rcempire.co.uk, which will be released in a few weeks and will have all the products, supplies and resources you need to get into the hobby industry and to get racing. So do check it out because it is going to be huge. But that's it. Please do subscribe, rate and comment. Thank you for watching and see you soon.